Investors are following these details closely. Could a final bill possibly even pass by the end of the year? Joining me now is Mattie Duppler, who's a senior fellow at the National Taxpayers Union, and Jimmy Pethokoukis, who's economic policy analyst at the American Enterprise Institute and a CNBC contributor. Welcome to you both.
Hey.
Mattie, what do you think for the prospects here? Is this bill going to get done, period, and how quickly can it get done?
Hey, I'm excited. If I'd been sitting in this chair 3 weeks ago and you'd been asking me if we were going to see a Senate bill, I don't think anyone would have agreed that we would see one by today. So the fact that the House Ways and Means Committee was able to pass their bill out of committee yesterday on the same day that the Senate released its chairman mark and is going straight ahead, I think really indicates really good momentum moving forward. I think we're still on time to see a bill potentially by the end of the year, which is an ambitious timescale, but still very much possible.
Jimmy, you agree?
They have some big decisions to make. There's been a lot of delayed decisions. I know Secretary Mnuchin, like 2 seconds ago, said he still thinks this thing's going to happen this year. Let's just talk about the Senate for a moment. They don't have a bill. A bill means it is Byrd rule compliant, which means it doesn't increase deficits after 10 years. What they currently have dramatically increases deficits after 10 years, so they have to make some decisions. Something needs to be made temporary, whether it's the personal side or the business side, and that is going to be highly controversial. So until they've made that big choice, this is still more a concept than an actual piece of legislation that can be turned into a law.
Mattie, is that a fair point?
But listen, that process is moving. Yeah, that process is moving forward. The Senate Finance Committee is a little different in that when they release a mark, it's more of a conceptual document than it is legalese legislative language. But they're scheduled on Monday to start taking that ball and running with it. And you know there are a number of hard decisions that have to be made. But look at what you're seeing in the House Ways and Means Committee. That's a pretty diverse group of congressmen represented on the committee, and they were able to find consensus in their document after marking it up for a week. So I think you'll see that in the finance mark too. There's an opportunity for amendments, of course, and there will be differences, but this is also how the legislative process works. You're going to have a different product coming out of the Senate than the House, and they're going to need to figure out where that axe is going to fall.
Let me say what the legalese, that legalese is, are we going to have a 20% rate? Are we going to have a 25%? Are we going to have a 30%? Is it going to be temporary? Is it going to be phased? These aren't minor details, considering that the corporate tax cut is supposed to be the living, beating heart of this tax bill, and we're not sure what that is. So that is a key detail that is still up in the air.
I disagree with you there. No, I disagree with you there. I think a couple things we do know.
Let me ask you both a question. Yes or no? Quick yes or no. Will what comes out at the end of the day achieve the objective of juicing the GDP growth rate to 4% or so, like they claim it's going to be? Is it enough to do what they say it's going to do, or is it just going to end up getting caught in the business cycle and not doing anything?
No, I don't think. I think you're.
I'm not going to argue that we're going to.
Third of a. Go ahead, Maddie.
Go ahead.
I think it's going to go by 30
I don't know if we're going to get to 4. We will certainly.
We have a delay.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Jimmy, you go.
Okay, I think we're talking about maybe a quarter of a percentage point. I think you do have some business cycle issues. The Fed's going to have a vote. So I think maybe 4%. I think if it got anywhere near 3%, I think that would have been an incredible achievement. I don't think that's what we're going to see.
Mattie?
I think what we've seen so far is less than 2% growth, so we can't be doing any worse, right? But I do think that any kind of tax reform coming out of the House and Senate is going to juice the economy. Getting to 4 would be great, but we are going to see a corporate income tax rate come down. I think we're going to get to 20. That's something that you found consensus on from both House, Senate, and especially from the president. He's given a ton of direction on wanting to get to the 20% rate. I think we're going to see 20, and I think you'll see a cascading effect of booming economic growth as a result.
We don't need stimulus. We need deep structural reform. We don't need stimulus.
We need both. I think that if we see tax reform, that's certainly not going to hurt the situation.
We need deep structural reform, Maddie. As we're like 10 years into this recovery, we're at near full employment. We don't need fiscal stimulus. I think the Fed will say the same thing.
I certainly think that we need businesses that are competitive in a global economy, and right now we're at a 35% rate, which is 10 percentage points higher than the OECD average. You can't tell me that our businesses are doing the best that they can do. They're getting as much profit and as much ability to invest back into their workers here with the business climate that we have right now. Both the regulatory environment and the tax code is making it impossible for businesses to compete here and abroad.
Jimmy, last word.
Listen, just don't expect 3 and 4% growth out of this. Keep your expectations modest, and you won't be disappointed.
All right, there's your answer.
I remain optimistic, guys. Why not?
I mean, I agree with Jimmy. And by the way, the idea that big U.S. corporations, who are right now paying nowhere near 35%, the fact
A lot of them are.
No, they're not.
Yeah,
no,
they're-
The domestic-oriented ones are, yes.
The world beaters are not paying that.
But the point is the after-tax profit margins have been at historic highs for years.
Yes.
And when this economy was growing much faster, corporate taxes were at the same rate as they are now.
All right.
So I'm not sure that's
Yeah, but we need the
big
wages to
swing
grow
factor.
too, and that's what tax reform can do.
She's still fighting. Mattie, thank you very much. Mattie Duppler, Jimmy Pethokoukis.
Thanks, guys.
Good debate. Appreciate it. General Electric, widely underperforming the broader market over the past 2 years, but still paying out $8 billion in dividends per year. Could that be on the chopping block at the company's Investor Day on Monday?